Yeah. Hey. It is Friday. Cheers. Happy Friday. It's Free Hands Friday number 78. I'm pretty sure it's October 7th. And who's here? Rob? Dean's here with me. Boaz is here. Who'd I miss? Vic. Right on.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Vic, you want to start? Boaz, you want to start? Like you're the man with the boxes, man. What do you got for us? You want to talk about Zooms? We were going to talk about Zoom boxes.
Yeah, sure. So I got just want to share a screen with you.
No, he's prepared.
Wow.
He's prepared.
All right.
Here, we'll focus on you, Boaz. Boaz, which pedal do you have?
Yeah, I just want to show. I got.
You got the Bluetooth one, right? Okay, the DT100.
Okay.
Okay, so stereo ins, stereo outs.
Yeah.
Work on batteries. 2 AA's, I think.
Well, it can work on batteries if you have many batteries.
And then it has like a kind of like a tone print kind of option where you can like, can you plug that in and does it have a user interface that you can use to?
Like tone print, like you use on TC Electronics. You need, hold on a minute.
It's like a Hitchcock movie over here.
I'm not sure if it works on Android. Anyone here else got this pedal?
I used to have the G3, and you could get that software that works, I think, with.
I'm talking the Bluetooth one.
Can you hold the pedal a little closer to your camera? I couldn't quite see which one, what number it is.
MS1.
It's the 100, the Bluetooth one.
Okay, okay.
100 BT.
I'm not sure if it works on Samsung Android phone.
Oh, it only maybe works on the iPhone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It works. Can you see this app? Can you see the app?
Okay, yeah. Oh, wow. It's like a store.
Because,
oh, that's right. And you can buy the patches.
Buy the patches, yeah.
well, it works. You can select categories.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then you can sample them for like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. So once you buy it, you get 80 effects, and 20 amp simulators, and
that's good.
Sorry.
That's not bad. 80 sounds.
Not bad at all. And
how much would like a single upgrade be? Like if you wanted to buy a sound, is it like $5, $10?
Yeah. So once you get it, and you reach the amp, you can get 20 more free effects.
Okay.
Free of charge. Yeah, I also like Megadeth.
We were admiring that.
And after you get those 20 free effects, you may also buy. Each effects cost $2, and each amp simulator costs you $4. That's it.
Wow.
Pretty fair deal.
Does it come with it comes with some when you first buy it, right?
Sorry?
It comes with some patches already when you buy it?
When you buy it, you get 80 effects and 20 amp simulators. Inside, you can delete it, you can do anything with it.
Yeah.
Add that 20 more free, and afterwards you may buy some more.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Wow.
Right from the phone.
For some reason, it doesn't connect me right now, in the moment of truth.
So cool. You can use that to add apps. Are you able to use that to configure the apps, to configure the pedals?
No. The only thing I want to show you I can manage.
Because you got to do that from the pedal.
Okay, it's working. It works for me. Well, the only thing you can manage is you can see how much memory you have left in the pedal.
Oh, okay.
Memory effects, and if you want to delete those effects you bought through the app, you can also delete them in order to free memory, although it has such a huge amount. It has in total something like 193 effects.
Okay.
So
That's funny.
I got 100 and got the 23 and bought some. I still have space for another 70 something effects.
Cool. All in one pedal.
Yeah.
So now, Victor, are you using one? Are you using one of the ones that's just for guitar?
I've got one for each side. I've got the guitar version and I've got the bass version.
So show us what you've got there.
Okay, so y'all, anyone that knows me knows I'm all about keeping it simple and whatnot. So this is my pedal board.
Okay.
You know, it's basically just these two pedals. There's an MS50G here, which is the guitar version, and over here is the bass version. So I'm just plugging straight into those, and now they're not nearly as good as that 100 BT in terms of being able to, you know, download new effects and stuff. There is no interface that you can use with a computer or a phone or anything like that. Even though it does have a USB plug, but that's mainly for just updating firmware and such. So it's you know, they've got so you know, basically what you get is what you get, and if there are more, you know, effects or simulators to be added, it would be done via firmware update. And to date, there was one firmware update for the guitar side version, the MS50G, but as far as I'm aware, there's been nothing yet for the MS60B, which is the bass side version. So, and so they seem to work well with the stick. Each of them is a mono input, and they have dual outputs, but I'm not really clear on what they're used for, why there's two of them. I know what I use the two for. Like if I'm if I want to record, you know, I've got one of these Tascams, and it's got you know, it's got inputs for you know, 1/4 inch mono inputs that you can use also. So basically, what I'll do is you know, I'll use that second output. You know, one output goes into my mixer, and I'll use that second output to plug into the recorder, and then I can record both the signal and as well as using the mics. But that's really the only thing I've ever used that extra output for. You know, I think there's probably a few effects that probably do something with it that treat it like stereo, but I haven't used them. So
Yeah.
You can use for both sides, like I'm not sure if you have it on the MS50 60. It's for, you can use it as line selector or effects like tenor.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think, yeah, so I think yours is a more advanced pedal because of those things there. Yeah. So now on your pedal, can the stereo inputs be each treated separately?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the only difference between the one you have, the guitar and bass separate, and the 100 Bluetooth is just the Bluetooth one. You can just download all the different ones. It does everything that one does, but it's not like you can, you know, put your melody on one side and then the bass on the other side and then affect them separately.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I used to own the bass version, and I thought it was great because it's got, you know, like compression, reverbs, you know, everything you need for a bass thing. And you know, I play the NS, so my bass side is like bass. There's like, you know, I don't play chords on the bass side. So, you know, it really handled that really well for me, and I think I can see it working even for, you know, the stick in general. But the great thing is it's got the amp sims in it, and I'm a big proponent for amp sims and cabinet sims and that kind of thing. Yeah, because I think that really just adds that last little bit of you
reality to the sound instead of that direct sound going into a board. I'm not a huge fan of that. So that's why I like having the amps and the cabinet sim. And that's why I bought the 60B, because I had like, I used to use the, what was it called? The Billy Sheehan drive pedal, which is a really interesting pedal because you can, oh, light. Is that too bright? No, it's cool. Okay. But yeah, that pedal's cool because, you know, you can put like kind of drive sound and blend it with your direct sound and stuff. And then I put it through the 60B so that I can use that amp sound, put some compression on it, you know, do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so, it's so affordable. That's the great thing about it, is just like, that's really all I wanted was just a little bit of amp sim and that kind of stuff. You know, a cabinet sound at the end of my signal chain. And there's other pedals out there that do cabinet simulators, but they cost like $1,000. And I was like, I'm not dropping that right now.
Well, no, that's half a new instrument, yeah.
You know, and those are great. I mean, they're amazing, but you know, this pedal really kind of got the job done for me for that reason.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, so when I was looking into it, one of the things that for the bass one, for instance, you know, so I hang out on Talkbass on occasion and read there, and the people that were talking about this that reviewed it said that it's a great live pedal, and that you know, you can use this as your entire effects set if you want to, if you're playing live. Now recording through it, maybe not. You know, it may be that you want something better. But when you're in a room and you're playing and it's and you know, the energy of the situation, the pedal's great, and so that's exactly what I wanted, is just to be able to have just one pedal for each side. And but you know, maybe someday in a few years I'll migrate away and I'll get one of these, you know, really big pedal boards that's just got stuff all over the place on it or something. But so
no, it does so much. That one pedal, like. It's got your distortions if you want it, your echoes, your you know, reverbs if you want.
Yeah, the chorus effect is pretty good, I find, on it too. You know, that's what I use on the bass side when I'm playing some of the solo stuff, like when I'm doing when I'm playing classical stuff, like, you know, minuet in G major, minuet in G minor, you know, anything else like that. That chorus sounds really nice, and with a little bit of hall. So it's, you know, it's good stuff. Yeah.
Hey, Steve, let's ask Steve about
the bass.
Steve, sorry, Boaz, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Yeah, the bass version, the MS-50B, you can only put a patch width maximum of 4 effects.
That's correct. Yeah.
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 Just like,
So
how many do you need, right? But like, if you have a compressor, right, for your basses, start with that. Maybe you want EQ, and then maybe some sort of like modulation, like chorus or flanging, maybe for like the bridge or the chorus or something. But then again, like, that's just for something kind of simple. And maybe then you want like echo or something like that. But can you use them for? I mean.
So I mean, I use, you know, I use 4 of them. You know, like a lot of times I'll come in, you know, and one of the things is some of the amp simulators, or I shouldn't say some of the amp simulators, some of the effects, this isn't the amp simulators, do introduce a little bit of noise to the signal, and so I'll usually, or not usually, but sometimes I'll take up one of the slots with a noise reducer, with a noise gate, so that, you know, that anything below a certain threshold, it just squashes. And so, you know, so now I'm down to 3. Then it'll usually be like a compressor, EQ, and then an amp sim. I think actually, I'm not sure. So the guitar version, I think you can use 5 or 6 slots. The bass version, let me see here really quick. Let me just see how many.
Yeah, I think it's just 4 on the bass one. And some of the effects actually use up more, like CPU or something. So you can, sometimes it won't even allow you to do a 4th one.
Yeah, and so I haven't actually seen that happen on the bass one. I think the bass, by limiting it to 4, they pretty much cut that out. On the guitar one, though, yeah,
I did it.
Oh, you did it? Oh, okay. I haven't. Okay, I haven't encountered that. But
Probably
you play more aggressive stuff than I do, so you're probably needing a little bit more than I'm content with.
The other great thing about the pedal is that you can choose the order of your effects. So a lot of like multi effects out in the market, it's like you have to have your wah here. You got to have your distortion, then it's your amp sim, then it's this, then that. Like you can't change the orders of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where on this one you can choose whatever order. And I come from a studio recording background and mixing background, and so I want to do my compression after my amps. Like that's, you know, if you're in a recording situation, you record everything and it's to tape, and then when it comes back, I'm doing all my compressions and that's how I think, right? And everybody has their own way of thinking, but that's how I like to do it. So like I put my compression after my amp sims. I've also experimented the other way, and it sounds great that way too. You know, it's
more of a live sound.
Yeah,
like with the compression first, then you're driving it, right? And you're getting into that kind of like you're crunching. Like, you know who the perfect example to me of that was Lowell George. Lowell George from Littlefield. So Lowell George, he'd play with a slide and we'd have a Strat, and boy, he'd use something from like a wrench or something like that. He had like a very distinct measurement that he would use for a slide, and it was like something that went to like something he worked on his car with. And he would drive it really hard with compression, and sometimes just play right into the amp. He may have had a pedal that he used to to add a little drive to it, but it's not like a crunchy distortion sound so much as it's an overdrive sound. And Hendrix kind of did it to a certain degree, but that's what I think of when I put the compression first before the drive or anything else. When you put the compression afterwards, you get a real professional sound. But that's the live.
I'm putting compressor at the beginning and at the end. When you can put.
Yeah, ultimately, that's what I like to do, is have a compressor beginning and afterwards. So like you can use the compressor to really give it some pop, you know, to your sound. If you like a funk guitar thing, you know, all that kind of stuff, and make a snap to it. But then you can also, you know, really drive the amp, kind of use it as a boost as well to overdrive the front end of the amp sound, and then have another, you know, compressor afterwards to just kind of tame it and make sure you're limiting it so that it doesn't, you know, just blow up your speakers or anything like that. And that's the great thing about this pedal, right, is that you can choose the places you want it to be in an experiment. Like I have like no guitar experience at all. Like that's not my background. And so I'm just recently kind of learning about driving amplifiers. You know, what happens when you drive an amplifier with, you know, we hear about, you know, those boost pedals, there's treble boost pedals, there's, you know, all kinds of boost pedals out there. And like when you drive an amp with like a different kind of EQ, for example, it sounds so different. You can like, just because it's a treble boost, it doesn't mean it's going to make your sound so trebly. Like I'm just learning about that right now. You know, and
I had a pedal with a compressor. It was one of the I can't remember the name of the compressor, but they made it had a treble boost built into it. And there were 3 different models of this compressor, and I wish I could remember the name of it.
Is it a Boss pedal?
No, it wasn't a Boss pedal. It had an acronym to it. It's kind of silly. I can't remember. I was very fond of it, but we'll look it up. I'll find it. But yeah, when in doubt, buy more. So compressors at the beginning and the end, right? Although not for you, Vic, right? Like, no, there's no room on that pedal board for anything, right? Like,
no room, man, no room. This is all I can carry. I'm geriatric. My back can't lift anything more.
Show us the pedal board once again, because I mean, I think this is kind of poetic in its simplicity.
Yeah, I think it's
mean, like it's really
so it's basically just the 2 pedals and the mixer. So
I mean, that's the biggest like issue with a stickist is to combine the signals at the end if you want to play to like a you know a thing. That's one of the things we suffer with right now is you know, if the guitarist is one signal, it's just going straight to it.
Yeah, no, this is you know, this is all I need. You know, you got your mixer. You know, we've talked. I've shared before that, you know, I've got, you know, I play through a combo amp, a combo bass amp, and you know, so I'm not lugging around you know the extra amps. That's just my personality, though. You know, when I went to the seminar in Vancouver, and everyone was set up, and you had a few people like Marty, who's really good, and you know, not to mention, you know, the instructors at the seminar, you know. But you know, these people had these, you know, these, and they sounded really good. They sounded really good.
Well, Marty uses those pedals, but like the more expanded version with like 3 pedals on them, and it's actually the exact same thing.
And he's got one of them has an expression pedal with it also.
Yeah,
I believe I saw that on his board. But yeah, so that's kind of, you know. But you know, I also have to be honest with myself. Part of the appeal of these pedals is that they're simple to use. The user interface is pretty simple, and that appeals to me because, you know, I also have to admit I really don't know what I'm doing with dialing in a sound, and so this lets me experiment and try a few different things. I can switch the orders a little bit, and you know, I don't spend a whole lot of time at it. I just you know, that sounds halfway decent to me, and I just run with it. But it is kind of nice that it doesn't overburden someone who may not have a clue. You know, I haven't, you know, I've probably only experimented with 1/3 of the effects on either of these pedals. And to be honest, most of what I play is stuff that I got from other people, you know, and or, you know, like, you know, on the bass forum, well, I tried this. Well, it's not going to sound the same through a stick, but it's a good starting point to, you know, and whatnot. So it's, you know, if I decide to go crazy, I can play with the phasers and all the other stuff. You know, for right now, it's mainly just been, you know, the amp simulators and the chorus and the reverb. So,
you know, I wanted to, you know, Steve's here, and I was kind of, Steve, how you doing?
You good? How you doing?
G'day.
I can do some crooning for us.
No, you don't want to hear me sing.
But I know that you've used some of the Stomp pedals, right? Is that correct? Some of the
Yeah, before I bought the Helix, you saw me at interlocking with a G3.
That's right.
Questions I had for Boaz and Vic is if does those pedals have USB where you can use it as a DAW interface?
So mine does not. Boaz's, the answer is yes, and he can talk about that. But yeah, mine does not. The only thing the USB is good for is either powering it or for firmware upgrade.
Okay.
Well,
what about
the USB is much another function I just got into. Jimmy told me you have a MIDI. What's the name of the MIDI controller you got?
You can. Are you talking about controlling the unit using that USB port, Boaz?
The MIDI you got. What's the name of it? Damage something?
Oh, right. So let me talk about that really quickly. And
what I'm talking about.
The disaster. So here's something unique, Boaz, and I'm gonna let you go. You're gonna go next, I promise. So, but I'm so excited about this. Disaster Area makes this cool pedal, and I'll see if I can show it to you. Okay. So like this is the pedal. Okay, so there it is, right? Can you see it? It's the one glowing.
All right.
Right. The hand model. He's the best. I had him brought in from Northern California. He's very good. Yes, he's very good. Get your face out of there. You're a hand model. Wait, wrong finger. Wrong finger. All right, we're even. Okay, so really quickly, check this out. So in real time, I'm going to show you. I can switch through. You see that the big sky?
Oh, what's this one?
Big sky?
Yeah.
It's switching. So I'm using this pedal right here, right? It's just going 1, 2, right? It's going back and forth. But now if I press this guy right here in the middle, right? Is it working? No, it's not working. Okay, I turned the big sky off. So now I'm going to turn it back on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the SY300. Right? And turn that on. Turn it on. Okay, let me try it again. Try that. Yeah, now it's on. Okay, so now I'm switching the SY300. See that?
It's hard to see on the screen, but yeah, it's changing patches.
So wait. Gene, are you telling me that one pedal is controlling the others?
Yeah, this pedal's controlling. I'm just scrolling through patches. I'm just scrolling through patches on this. But then what the best part about this guy, see that little guy right there? That's an expression pedal. So you can roll that and you can turn up like the feedback of stuff, or you can change the feedback on your delays and stuff like that. And Dean and I were freaking out on that like a little earlier. And it's all cool because it's all done from one pedal. And one of the selling points to the Disaster Area DMC 3XL Gen 2 is that it's compatible with the Zoom BT100. So Boaz, actually it could actually control that, I think, as a third pedal. And
that was referring to the pedals with the USB, like the MS50 or 60 are compatible with the MIDI controller. The MS100 doesn't.
The MS1200?
The MS100, you can't control it with the MIDI controller.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The MS50 and the MS60, you can.
Okay, okay.
That was the intention of the Zoom manufacturers, but once you get the USB in, you can control it with some adapters from USB to
That's right. And it's a little bit more. I think that the pedal that I got actually isn't compatible with it. You have to pay like a little bit more for that. But when I look at it, I think there's another switch. Actually, you can't really see it, but the pedal itself has another 1/4 inch input that can be used as an expression pedal. So if you want to have an external expression pedal and not use the roller, like you can buy it without that roller. I'm kind of digressing from the Stomp right now, but what is important to think about is when you're buying the Stomp pedals, is the BT100 is the only one that's compatible with that Disaster Area pedal. So that's because it's newer technology, right? And,
Gene, is the BT100 working through the Bluetooth? Like, is that pedal? Because this pedal, I got the same pedal.
Mm-hmm.
There's. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
There's no USB connection on there. It's power and Bluetooth.
Nothing.
And there's like.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then the bottom, there is no USB on here. So
Really?
if it's compatible, is it through Bluetooth?
Maybe I'd think.
Like I've got the same one Boaz has, I think.
I'll have to find out what it is. The disaster. Yeah, so you're probably right. The Disaster Area has very specific parameters as to what it does and doesn't work with. So they get it's one of these smaller companies where they're very brand specific. Like it works with the Empress, right? There's a certain type of phaser. There's a certain type of other. It works very well with Strymon pedals. So they gear their products actually towards Strymon pedals. If ever you've seen any of their videos. So one of the selling points of this one in particular is that you can actually control 3 pedals. So you can control the MIDI channels of 2 pedals, but then you can also control a looper as well. So you have a looper setting, so you can actually control stop and start, like let's say a Strymon timeline, one of those nice big delays that's also a sampler. You can start the sample or start the loop, end the loop. You can, I think, overdub. There's another recording or a pedal configuration for that. Anyways, it's a very versatile pedal, and I'll have to check and see which Zoom pedal it's compatible with.
So I'm reading it right now, Gene. It says here that the DMC 3XL Gen 2 is now available with our Ghost output, enabling it to control one USB MIDI device such as the Zoom G3, G5, B3, MS50G, MS60B, MS70 CDR. So,
I was wrong! I was wrong! Wrong again!
Well, no, I'm flabbergasted that it's got my 2 pedals listed because I've never heard of the USB on mine being used for anything except firmware upgrades, and that's from reading the manuals and talking to people. So I'm going to have to look into this a little bit.
So imagine this. Imagine one pedal, and both of your pedals just duct taped to your amp.
I could get smaller.
Just like, yeah, exactly.
I can even smaller. Even smaller.
Like all the Linux guys are like, let's make it smaller, and all the Microsoft guys are like, let's make it bigger. You know, so you'd be one of the open source Linux guys, definitely.
Yeah.
So Steve, I wanted to get to you, and Rob will get to you next. But I wanted to. What are you using it for, or what did you use it for, and what did you like about it?
What I liked about what I thought the G3 really shined above even my Line 6 Helix was the tape echo effect. And when you hooked up an expression pedal to it, what really, I learned something like 20 years ago from a Insonic rep who said the one way you can tell if an effect is good is to grab a hold of the delays, turn all the controls to maximum length and decay, and just play one note, let it ring, and listen. A good effect just keeps going and has a nice even decay that lasts a long time and doesn't generate any noise. The Zoom will pass that. And when you put that expression pedal to that tape delay, you end up with something similar to a particle verb type effect. You know, you can control it with either you can fade in that particle with the expression pedal. And I can come close to it with the Helix a little bit. There's some other things that it doesn't do, but the time delay, and that was something Andy Silvanos pointed out me on, is that anything with the time delay and the delays, even the reverbs, it's very musical. You can set it to like the little beats, you know, like you see the little quarter notes and that. And so whatever your tempo is, you can set your time, your, you know, rates and all that to the tempo. You can do the edge, like the classic U2 edge effect, or if you prefer the from Pink Floyd, because I think he did that before the edge did.
The dotted eight
type of delay.
Is that what it was? So
Yeah,
let me.
the dotted eighth, yeah. And that actually, I think that goes to Pink Floyd, the Division Bell album. Was that out before? I always wondered, was that, I didn't look at the dates, but did the Division Bell come out before the first U2 album? Because if that's the case, then Gilmour actually was doing that effect before the Edge did.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure, because part of the Gilmour sound is a quarter note and then also a dotted eighth note layered together.
But if you go on the Strymon website and look at their thing, they said the most requested effect they have is the Edge delay. That's what a lot of people call them for, and they want that sound in the delay. And the Zoom, you get it with no problem, and it's really easy to play around with. But yeah, you know, and I was looking, you know, for like with the Helix, you know, you're talking about you lose DSP when you start adding a lot of amps to it. I'm thinking, you know, if I ever run out of effects and I want to get something, I probably would buy one of those little Zooms, you know, just to add into the extra channel to make up for any missing effect. But so far, it keeps me honest. I don't like playing with a lot of effects, you know. After a while, you start making noise, and it gets fun to do that. The nice thing about the Helix, it tells you you've had enough. Play music. Don't add layers and layers of effects and make walls of noise. You know, do something musical. Keeps you honest. So it's very musical in that respect. The other thing, Vic, you know, mentioned about the editors. The cool thing about Zoom is that, you know, it's not only just easy, but it's user friendly when you're actually playing. I mean, a lot of times when you're playing in a different environment, you take your gear with you to a room you're not familiar with, and then it doesn't sound right. You don't want to go through a boatload of menus to find your sound. As Zoom, you have minimal levels. Everything's there with the right amount of knobs. It's quick. It's easy to use. I mean, I'll take Zoom over Boss any day as far as the multi-effects go.
Oh, really?
Zoom, a lot of the Boss stuff, you're taking a deep dive in big menus. I used to have a VG99, and I absolutely hated it. I got rid of that. I don't think I kept that thing very long because I just couldn't stand going through all those sub-menus. You like the program, it's a good effect, but I didn't like it.
Wait, go ahead, Boaz.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I missed what Steve said, but there's another great feature I wish every pedal will have. Do you see the screen? Do you see my screen?
Bring it back a little bit. Bring it back, yeah. We're not going to get it. We can't see it.
Okay,
It is
anyway,
a good screen.
Every reverb or delay pedal has the option of tail on and off. and
Oh.
obviously on. So if I put a delay and I bypass the pedal, the delay will keep on moving.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's important. I think that's okay. So let's talk about that for a second. So the concept of trails, which is when you now if you disengage the pedal, does it keep going?
Sorry?
If you disengage the pedal, does the delay keep going?
Yeah. The pedal and reverb will still be going.
Yeah. That's perfect. I mean, like,
Bypassing. The pedal is bypassing.
okay, that's cool.
And demonstrate it just finally.
How long have you had your Zoom, Boaz?
I did about year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
So okay, so any pedal, if you're a pedal, like let's say we're all pedals, and you get onto Boaz's pedal board, very special place. You have a limited time there. And if you can last a year, that says a lot. And I think that the Zoom pedal is still there just because it's very versatile. Is that true?
Sorry?
I'm saying it's not easy to land a gig on your pedal board, although maybe it's getting, the pedal board's getting so big, so maybe, but I'm saying you've had the pedal for more than a year and a half, so it must be good.
Yeah, well, it's a good solution if you need everything in one box. I think it's the best value for money.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
$20, you have everything. I wish they had the expression pedal, which would do a big difference. And in general, adding some external pedal to it, like the Strymon had, just in order to run through effects.
It's interesting that they're two different markets. So the Strymon is this very expensive pedal, all these features, the brushed metal, the high profile, and then you've got literally for a quarter of the price, one Zoom pedal that can, like do what the Strymon does, and then these three other things, which is so cool. And what's interesting about the Zoom pedal that I hadn't really thought about until now is that the amp sim and the EQ both count. Whereas like I was like dialing those in from the amp, right? Like so I'd like have an amp. I mean I haven't had an amp in a while, but once upon a time I had an amp, like a bass amp or a guitar amp. And you dial in reverb on it, and you dial in EQ on it, and it sounded like an amp. So you didn't have to. It wasn't an amp sim; it was a freaking amp. And now, but it counts as a spot. And so you have an amp sim, and you have EQ, and even before you get to something like a compressor, or like an echo or something like that, you might use on a bass occasionally. You're kind of you've already got three effects before that. So it's just a different way of looking at it. And for the bass on the stick, I mean, I just use compression. And I'd like to learn to use more. So I feel like, like Vic, what you've got going on, like, is it the G3? Is that what he's got? The G3, or what is that? That's the 60 or the 60G?
I have the 60G and the 50G. So
okay, yeah. See, that would be kind of cool to have. I mean, that would be something different. And for me, from where I'm coming from, if I had one of those bass pedals, I could control it with my little Disaster Area pedal, and I could actually have an expression pedal on the bass side, which would be like wild. I mean, more
wow.
I really want that. So that'd be something different, right?
Yeah, it's almost too bad they didn't do the expression on the Bluetooth version. Right? That's like both pedals in one.
Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they?
Because it does everything that both those do.
They just had to put the input.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been great because then you can have just buy two of the Bluetooth ones. They're a little bit more. They cost a little more. Because I mean, like on the normie sticks, normies,
we have two more.
But the bass side does so much, right? It does bass, but it also plays chords, and you can play like melodies if you want to on the bass side. So it covers such a wide range of frequencies. Where like bass, the BT, the one that I had was just bass. Like that's really what it was meant for. I mean, it works for everything, but
that's what I'm looking for. I would love to have just like a single pedal. right? I mean, you saw the board. My board is like almost out of space. Like I'm almost out of space. I got an infinity looper. I'm doing that again. So I'm going to give that a try. And what I love about the infinity looper is that it's actually got two separate inputs, so you can control one for the bass side and one for the melody side. So I would be able to do that. Now, where that would fall in my stereo kind of thing is another challenge because I have stereo outputs coming out from the melody side. So, right, do I do it on the reverb side or do I do it on the SY300 side? Well, I don't know. So anyways, I'm kind of digging in the dirt now, but you can control the zoom 50 or the 60 from the Disaster Area recover pedals. And actually the Disaster Area DMC 3XL, something like that, they're really a very versatile pedal. And if you've got lots of MIDI pedals, you can control them. And it just so happened that I only really had 2 MIDI pedals. I have a compressor and the reverb on the bottom side, which are always on. I don't need to control those. So both of mine are MIDI. I was like, well, let's just see what happens. And it turned out okay. But one more little pedal would be okay. That Zoom 60 is looking very appealing right now.
Well, you know, if you get
one another.
What'd you say, Boaz?
How do you jump from one effect, MIDI effect to another? How do you control once the synthesizer?
Yeah. So what I do is the DMC it has basically a MIDI out. So it pushes MIDI out. And actually I think that there's a version of this pedal that actually has, it's 2x2. So it's got, instead of having like 2 and 1, it's actually 2 and 2. And one of them is set up for tap tempo. So actually it can drive a tap tempo, which is pretty cool. But this one doesn't have tap tempo. So this has 3 pedals. The one in the middle, what you do is there's 2 different modes for the middle pedal. So if you've got these 3 switches, the one on top is slightly higher. And when you hold it down, that's what turns on the effect. So if you press it and you hold it, it turns it on or it disengages. Although Dean and I found that when you're trying to turn the SY300, it doesn't always behave. So I'm gonna work through that. Maybe I was pressing the pedal the wrong way anyway. So that the idea is that you hold it and that turns it on and off. Now, if you just click it once, it switches between A and B. Or and another option is it switches between A and B and C. And when it gets to C, then it goes into a sampler mode. So start, stop, and overdub, which is pretty cool. So that's the next step that I'm taking with the DMC, is to see if I can control the infinity loop. But what you can also do is, then you've got that expression pedal on the side. So I've got it set up so that the expression pedal on the, I've only got the expression pedal set up on the Big Sky, and it's the feedback. So it's either set to 0 or it's set to 100. Now, if it's set to 0, then it just stays at its standard setting. But if you kick it all the way over, then you can get this infinite kind of repeat, and that's the stuff that Steve was talking about, where it creates this huge kind of lush kind of wash of sound. And anyway, it's a very versatile pedal, and what was great for me is that I love it just because now where I have this big space that I have to occupy, now I just have to occupy this very small space, and I use this volume pedal a lot, and so it's nice being able to use the volume pedal and just kind of switch over when I need to do it very occasionally. So the space that I have to control is smaller. And that was just, I was just lucky.
Let me just show you what I was talking about, the tail.
Yeah, let's see.
You see the red button, the red light here?
Mm-hmm.
It says it turns on. Right now I'm in tail off mode.
Oh, tail off? Okay, so you're talking about tails? Okay, cool.
I got the effect. Can you hear this? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
All right. That's the delay, pitch delay.
Pitch?
So,
Hey, that's wild.
if I press,
Can you do that again?
it kills the sound.
Okay.
If I turn the tail on, it stays on.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's good with reverb, and that's good with delay. But it's such a versatile pedal. Now, Boaz, do you ever use it in kind of like a? Do you ever kind of use it in like a solo mode where you just use one pedal and you like maybe you go somewhere that's a small amp and just have like a compression or a reverb sound?
As a solo, you see my pedal effect. You never use a solo effect.
What did you say?
I use so many effects. You mean if I use on is the only effect I got?
Okay, so if you had to choose one pedal, that would be like your desert island pedal.
No,
Maybe.
If I'm being on this island, I would rent a boat to get out of the side.
You got me there, Marlevy. You got me. You got me there.
I got the big sky now.
Oh, that's right, the big sky. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm a fan. I love it. I use maybe 3-4 sounds on it, and that's good enough for me.
So the big sky, that's a reverb pedal? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Must all reverbs.
It's yeah, and it does a lot of things. It's got halls, and it's got the slapback stuff. It also does a reverse, so where it fades in, which is pretty cool. So it will do that for you.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, when do you find practical applications for these awesome sounds? You know, like, oh, I mean, you almost have to like write the song around the sound to make it sound like, you know, like it belongs. So like, it's kind of a novelty pedal in that regards. It has some kind of novelty things, but it also has just what the real value is, or the investment that they have made, and which is why the pedal costs, it's like $500, is the quality of the chip that they're using. And Rob Hayner broke this down for me, and he said basically the way that it disperses the reverb is it uses more processing power to actually generate at each level. When it's generating the reverb, there's more quality going into it. Whereas pedals of lesser value just kind of, they do it quickly, and you might hear these kind of moments in between when the reverb is being generated as it disperses. Now, he had a much more elegant technical way of saying this same thing. I'm not one. But with the Big Sky, the big investment was, and probably you see this in the Helix as well, Steve, this is that the processor technology is so great that you just get a cleaner sound, a cleaner, more uniform sound, and you hear more what the instrument sounds like with the effect after the effect versus the instrument being affected by the pedal. It's kind of a conceptual way of saying it. And then also the Strymon stuff does true bypass, but they also allow the original signal to go through, so you've got a mix knob, which is nice. You can mix in the original signal. It's like 100% all the time, or you can roll in the mix and have more of the effective sound. So, Boaz, what do you think? What's your first impressions of the Big Sky?
Well, I just got it 24 hours ago. And,
yeah. We need answers, man. Come on.
Give me a week or two. You know, it sounds amazing. I really love the use of it. As you have chorus behind you. It's like a big chorus singing behind what you play. And
the modulation.
I was looking, yeah, what I was looking for. Also, the SY Grounded also does it quite well in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. You know.
Yeah, it has a. Even I just have one pedal. I mean, I suppose that would probably be my Desert Island pedal, because I love that rich sound that you do that with. Now, Rob, we haven't heard much from you this evening, but I'm glad you're here.
So I picked up one of these pedals about a week ago.
Cool.
And I'm playing with it. It's fun, but I have to say the distortions on it are like really hot. Like I was doing a gig on last Tuesday night, and I thought I brought my stick. So anyway, I'm just turning this thing on, and suddenly I hit the distortion button, and I get this massive amount of feedback, and everybody's giving me the dirtiest looks I've ever had. And I didn't know how to turn it off. So anyway, I don't want it for distortion, but
right.
I want it for reverb and delay.
Were you using the stock effects? Were you using the stock effects there, or had you modified them?
Well, I was using I was modifying them too, but I was just using the stock ones because yeah. They have some, yeah.
Zoom seems to have the lowest presets.
I'm hearing a lot of. I'm hearing me.
Oh, okay. What'd you say, Steve?
Zoom seems to have some of the lowest presets when it comes to distortion. And I'll tell you what, if you find the bomber effect, make sure that you don't hit it too hard because it'll blow your amp, maybe break a few windows. Always look for the bomber, turn the gain, turn the volume down. You don't need it. But for whatever reason, they pre-programmed it to be super loud and obnoxious. It was a killer.
I mean, that's the big thing with these pedals is they're designed for guitar or bass, but like nothing's designed for a stick. There's no stick like Guitar Center, right?
I disagree. I play guitar, and nobody wants an obnoxious effect. I mean, they seem to think everybody's a big metal guy, and they crank up, and when it gets to the point, it makes no musical sense. You don't want it.
Well, if you're into Megadeth,
turn it down.
I'll bet Bo has a scoop with some metal. He'll play some metal. We're teasing.
You gotta tweak them. Yeah, there's one of the Zoom effects. I mean, the cab effect, the cab simulators and the distortions and that, and the amp modelers. They sound really good if you tweak them. But out of the box, a lot of them are junk. You gotta do something with them.
You had one of them, right?
Yeah, I had
Did
that.
you use it for fuzz in the left hand, ever?
No, I didn't ever use it for fuzz on that stuff. And from what I remember of it, like the fuzzes and stuff really didn't sound that great. Fuzz in general, like in my experience, like even on the melody side, it doesn't really translate to stick that well. And that's just me personally. And you have to really
I didn't like it.
Yeah. And you might be able to get a decent sound, but it's just the dynamics of the stick. It's just so different from guitar, that it just doesn't. And especially with mine, it's active circuitry, and if maybe a passive stick pickup might sound pretty cool, but.
Well, it's interesting because the natural inclination when you're playing with bass or guitar, your hands are co-joined, whereas with the stick, they're separated. And so you need to be able to have these sustained parts in the left hand with, like whatever it is, the rotor going on the right hand or the opposite, right? Where you've got something sustained in the right hand and you're moving in the left hand, because if you go quickly between like the distorted and the not distorted sound, it's like, that's only fun for you to play. That's not fun for me to listen to, right? I mean, maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel. When people go back and forth between a distorted sound and a not distorted sound, it's kind of like that was like as if the guitarist and the bassist could never play at the same time. Like when they're on the stage, like when one goes down, the other has to wait. And it's just a different feel.
I wanted to be able to control these without having to bend over, right? So, and I'm kind of disappointed that you can't use a pedal to affect it. I'm getting a lot of reverb.
Sorry.
But because I was hoping to use, I don't know if I can do this or not.
Oh, cool. Hey, look at that.
So I was hoping to use this thing to affect all my pedals, right? I think Dean's got one of these, right?
Yeah, I've got the first version. But yeah,
Yeah.
essentially the same.
So this does what Gene's does, but way more. But I was hoping that my MS-100 would be, I could use it with that, but I can't. So I actually have to have the MS-100 at table height when I'm playing, so I could adjust it if I want to. So I may actually return this. I don't know.
Where did you get it, Rob, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, in Canada we have Long on McQuaid, so it's a guitar store. It's a pretty big one. It's a big chain.
And do they accept returns?
Oh yeah, 30 days.
Oh, that's nice.
So I can buy it. If I don't like it, I want to get a timeline. So I figured this had a lot of stuff the timeline had on it. My soft stepper will control my timeline as well, so I can control everything with the one pedal without having to bend over. And the gigging I've been doing, I'm doing a lot of footwork while I'm playing because I want to change patches in the middle of something. I don't want to have to bend over and then start pushing buttons. That's annoying. Then I can't play.
Sometimes I think these stores sell these cheap stuff as like a gateway to like more expensive stuff. Because you buy the cheap one, right? Like the Zoom, which is like $100. You're like, I can drop $100, and then you play with it for like 2 weeks, and then you're like, oh,
no MIDI.
And then you go back and you buy something more expensive, but it only feels like you're only putting another like $100 more.
That's right.
You know, and now you just dropped $200, but you don't feel like you did that. It's a gateway effect. You know?
It is a gateway effect. Exactly
yeah, they're playing us, man. They're playing all of us.
It's okay, but I find I'm spoiled with my big stack.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting the Zoom to sound as good, which it doesn't sound bad, but it's not the same.
Interesting. So it's a matter of quality. You are hearing not just with the bomber, like Steve was saying, right? Like forget about the bomber for a second, right? Like when you're going through patches, like it's like you get to that one and it's like, oh, the bomber.
Yeah.
Bomber outside, just the quality of the reverb or the delay or what you're hearing is just not what you're hearing in the big stuff.
Well, they're nice, but compared to the big guys, they're not the same.
I tell you, I mean, I don't think you'll be disappointed in the timeline. And what's great about the timeline is that it's very configurable, like the Big Sky. Like it accessorizes well. So it's got MIDI in and out. It's got an expression pedal out. It's got stereo ins and stereo outs, and it's got this kind of calibration thing on the back, which is pretty cool. And the timeline is very much like that. And I gotta say, like, as far as quality goes, you got to sell like a hand or a leg to afford it. But like Strymon pedals, boy, they do. I'm a big fan of the Big Sky, and I know they make other great pedals. I've been tempted by that delay. There's this kind of like it's like a double delay or a dual echo. It's called like a Lex, not the Lex. It's called something I can't remember, but it was a kind of a fun kind of 70s kind of vibe, and it had two different delays in it. So you could get kind of that stuff that you're talking about, David Gilmour, the quarter notes, the triplet notes, and I never really quite understood that. But you guys talk about David Gilmour and the delay that he was using that had different settings.
Yeah, he used like not a ping pong, but it's two delays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool stuff. I heard he had a delay, or there was some sort of pedal that actually had like oil in it or something like that, or it used like
it's a spinning can of oil. It's like one of the ways like tape echo uses actual tape, but oil cans with a spinning can of oil, and like somehow magnetic or something, it just like tape picks up, and then as it spins around, it like does the delay thing. Because I think it was very toxic as well. So I think that was part of the problem.
You have to really want that sound.
It was like hazardous to your health. Yeah.
You gotta want it.
So,
You gotta want it.
Agent Orange.
Hey, so I want to talk a little bit about event. Like for starters, this is great for me because I was pretty sold on the Zoom, the BT100, and I kind of still am. But now I'm intrigued by the 60B, knowing that it's compatible with the Disaster Area pedal. So it's kind of cool. There's two options there. It's nice to have, and it is like it kind of holds me over until like the next pedal, right? Like it's not expensive. I expect to buy it on eBay for $100 and sell it for $90. So right, like that $10 investment, it's almost like renting a pedal.
And it really is like this. Yeah. I mean, it's like super cheap, but it does so much. There's an article I posted on Stickus about a month ago. It was like in defense of the pod, right? Like people like just shit on the pod all the time. They think it's like the worst like thing that was ever invented. But I mean, like you can do so much on it, right? You can experiment and be like, okay, what if I turn this up, and what if I do this, and really kind of get it, educate yourself.
How much was it?
The original pod, I don't know, you can probably pick it up for like nothing now, but back then it was like, $200-300
$300, yeah.
and that's still like for what it did, it was just mind blowing.
Well, that's what I'm after. If I was going to get something like the Zoom, because I have a big pedal board, and I'd
Zoom
like to
does
go
exactly that.
If I just had one pedal, it'd be kind of versatile, maybe I could change between two sounds. If I play like 8 songs or 10 songs, to have those 2 different sounds to go back and forth with, reverb, compression, EQ, something like that. It's
One of the great things I liked about the 60V was you can you can set that big pedal in the middle, the big silver pedal, just to kind of go through different presets you create. So you can create an A, B, C, and D, and you can just scroll through those with that one button. So I had a setting for a slap bass sound, and that was one, and then I had another one which was more of a mellowed out, just a nice low end kind of thing.
EQ?
Yeah,
Oh,
so I mean, just totally different patches. So I just had one for this, like a funk thing, and then another one for just a smooth bass, and then another one that maybe kick up the treble.
See, what I love about that is
That's really handy because you can when you find the next song, you just advance to patch number 6, and there it is. Everything you want. This song's done. Now you move to the next one. It's exactly like you described. Really handy.
Yep. Something else. We've covered so much ground with the Zoom, but we are kind of coming up on time. I did want to talk about the Virginia Stick Camp.
Oh yeah, who was that?
So Virginia Stick Camp, I spoke to Dave Brodsky last night, and he said it was great. And so they had a great time out in Virginia, and I think it was in Charlottesville, and it was very well attended. And it was really nice. Greg, put together a great program, and he really gave other people that wanted to share what they know a real opportunity to shine. So, Dave knows how to engage a group, and he knows how to share ideas, and he also kind of helped people with some setup questions, which was really nice. They had a couple of new people there. I know Daniel Kane was there. Not Daniel Kane, Daniel Marks, rather. Daniel Kane was not there. Daniel Marks was there, though, and so he got to do some singing. So he was one of the singing stickists that was there. And I think Dave was under the weather, so he was kind of bummed about that, but it still went very well. And Claire, there were many people there. Jim Meyer was there, and Claire got to do her bit and talk a little bit about classical pieces. She kind of broke apart some classical pieces, and she talked about all these component parts. And
Did she suffer?
did she?
It's kind of an inside joke. But
She didn't suffer enough. You can never suffer enough. It's like hard enough, like walking into a Guitar Center with, or the place up where you are, Rob, with the Chapman stick, and people are like, "What? Is that a sitar?" And you're like, I have to tell the joke, and I think everyone knows it, but I think it has to be said anyways. How many Chapman stick players does it take to screw in a light bulb? What's a Chapman stick? I don't know if it was Greg or just somebody in that crowd, maybe Steve Adelson, right? He's got so many one-liners. It was like even the stick players, and I think I tell that at all our Free Hands Academy things, and just people still laugh. It's still very funny. So, anyways, I heard Virginia went well, and it was kind of a cool opportunity because it was a little less expensive. And they stayed in a real nice lodge out in Charlottesville or near the Charlottesville area. And then Greg set it up so that each night they were playing actually in a venue. So people that wanted to perform, right? So Dave would perform, and Greg would perform, and Claire would perform, and Jim Meyer would perform, and I'm sure Daniel would perform and sing as well. So great opportunities there.
There's another guy. Who was at the first Free Hands? What's his name?
Jeremy Cooper.
No. Yeah, he was there too.
Oh, was Jeremy there?
Oh, no.
But he was
No. Oh man, what was his name? From the East Coast.
Well, there was Greg. Sounded like old man.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Was he tall, short, what?
He lost a lot of weight.
Oh, okay. Brett Bottomley.
Brett Bottomley.
Who's insanely good. That's funny because Dave mentioned that Brett was doing this walking stuff, and everyone was just like,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that Virginia was like if I were there, it would be awesome because I mean it's just like a bunch of teachers all together. It was like a teachers seminar, you know, like how awesome would
Jim
that
Meyer and Dave Broski,
Yeah.
and then like Brett Bottomley,
Brett Bottomley,
who can like just totally rip like Haldsworth
be?
stuff.
Greg Howard.
Greg, yeah.
I mean,
Good times. Yeah. Well, that looked like a fun gig, and you know, we've got a gig tomorrow. We're doing tomorrow. We'll have actually Randy Gretsch is going to be there. So Mad Monk is going to play. So I'm super excited about that, Randy.
Oh, you gotta record that.
Yeah. I want to check in with him. Randy's kind of sensitive about that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gnarly performer, gnarly player. This is I always bitch and moan about having to go after him at the first one of the events that I went to. I had to go after him, and I was like I have to go after him, so I got to go before him, which is great. So like kind of open up the thing. Although I'd rather I was talking to Dean, but I'm gonna see if I get Dean to play, and so I don't have to bring my rig, and I can just come down and like be charming, and I don't have to play. And although I would like to play. I should play. But we're gonna have a good time, and Bob will be there, Emmett will be there, Dean will be there, and actually a bunch of people signed up. Actually, Robin's going to be there, so that'll be nice. And then we've got a cat, John Ray, coming in. I think he's coming in. I don't know where he's coming in from. I don't know if he's coming in from. I'll have to find out. And then there's another guy, Gabriel, and so I'm going to lend Gabriel my instrument for the event. Because he's like railboard, bamboo, and I'm like, struggle, suffer, you never know. And I was like, I know a guy's got an NS. Dean and I have been talking about this guy that's got an NS for sale. So he's like, what's an NS? And I'm like, oh, that's where it starts, And who else is going to be there? Dorian Thomas is going to be there. So he's a cat here in the Southern California area. He was the first freelance cat. And then who else is going to be there? Tommy Stanton's going to be there. So Tommy Stanton's a really good banjo player, and I think he sings as well. And so I was like, bring your banjo.
yeah,
So that'll be cool. And then another guy, Andrew Barbieri, I think, is coming out. So he's in the area, and he kind of hit me up on the stick because he's like, I want to come down. So he's going to be there. Who else? Oh, and then Rick Allegria, who's a drummer who is the Cause and Effect band with Bob Culbertson.
yeah.
So he'll be there, and so they'll do a little stuff with like other rhythm workshop. And so excited about that.
Yeah, he's been playing. Like I looked at his biography, and he's been playing drums for world-class people. Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's an instructor as well. So it'll be kind of nice because I've never had the opportunity to have a stick player and a drummer together, which I think is so great because, Bob does what Bob does, but like if you're in a bass role, like I would like to do that, drummer, and kind of just practice some grooves and have them go, you're kind of rushing or try laying back or, do this with the right hand. It's kind of nice to get a drummer's perspective. They're because I stay out of the way of the guitarist and pianist and bassist. I try not to interject, but I really like when the drummer is talking to you, like the groove is faster or you're playing ahead of the beat. It's good to get that feedback from the drummer.
Yeah, I got an opportunity to play last couple of weeks ago at Ozzy's. He's got a new drum teacher. He's a professional drummer and very, very good. And he came and played with us, and it's pretty cool. It's just me and Steve. There was only the two of us that showed up that night. It was a Friday. It was a little different from our typical Thursday, but it was cool having a drummer.
Talk about what Oz has going on out there, and you as well.
Yeah, it's he had a couple Fridays. He switched it to Fridays, and it wasn't a very big showing. It was actually kind of a last-minute decision, but I couldn't show up for one of them, and then the last one I showed up was just me, Steve, and a drummer. But we're going to be going back to the Thursday nights, so hopefully we'll gain, get the regular group back going again.
Yeah. So it's interesting how our whole crowd is, it's kind of like myself included, like we're just kind of hobbyists. We like to get together and we do it. We have things that we do for money, to support our family and pay for things because it's really hard to scratch out a living as a musician, and not like oftentimes might have like a mate or someone that kind of supports you, or maybe you have some other sort of. Anyways, I kind of like that, and I know Emmett's talked about that in the past, and how he likes it. This community, and I forgot my whole point of all this, but what's going on in Michigan was amazing. And the last time I was in Interlaken, it was pretty incredible because I had no idea of the history of lawsuits. Right? Like, I mean, it goes way back, and then there were all these stick players that were out in that area that I was not aware of, and it was very concentrated. It was kind of cool to see. So that was like Interlaken, like opened up my eyes to just a whole different side of the stick community. And I'll bet Vancouver's very much like that.
Yeah, well, I went to Vancouver not this year, but the year before, and like you just don't realize like when you go outside of your own area. Yeah, I've always been in California, and I've been Three Hands twice, and then there was a community into it, so I went over to Vancouver. And like, there's a whole community there, so I'm like, I really want to go to the East Coast sometime, just go to Interlaken or go to the Oslos and meet those people. And then it seems like there's a good group starting in like Texas.
Oh,
there's something going on. I think it's next weekend.
That's a good call. Yeah, Steve Adelson's got something on Houston.
Right? I mean, they got Dr. Stomp and
that's great. That's great.
Do
you know who I hope they get is John Carlo. John Carlo. That guy, I tell you. I'm going to close this window a little bit. John Carlo, everyone knows it. That guy's wicked good.
Yeah, I've seen his videos for that. He plays what, like a 7-5?
Oh,
so am I right? I don't know.
So John Carlo, is he on Stickist?
Not really.
Yeah,
No. It's interesting. He's one of these guys. I'm pretty sure he's full time. Anyways, so we've covered events. Can somebody mute their mic? Gotta mute somebody.
All right, Boaz, you like things going on.
Really? Oh. Maybe this one is no longer there. Boaz, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here twice.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. I do think it's about that time. I know back east it's getting late, right? 10:30. What time is it where you are, Boaz?
It's 5:30 a.m.
But it's Saturday, so there's that.
Yeah.
Well, happy
So
New Year. Okay, cool. Well, I think I'm getting ready to call it. Anything you guys want to say before we check out, or any questions that weren't answered, or maybe we could talk about women. I'd rather not. You guys good? All right, cool. Well, listen.
Good.
I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. I learned a lot about the pedal too. I was disappointed that I wasn't able to pick one, but now knowing what I know, right? My mind was so made up. I really have a little more thinking to do about my pedal purchase, and it's really good to know all the features that are out there and the options that are available to you. Thanks for taking the time to make this happen.
Yeah, Gene. Hey, man. Thanks a lot for pulling this one together. This was good. It was a good discussion.
Yeah, but,
Learned a lot.
All right. Well, happy Three Hands Friday.
See you guys.
See you guys next time.
Take care.
So coming up really quickly, I want to see if I can get Jeremy Cuber. He's like a really intriguing guy, and you know, maybe Steve, maybe you and him can freak out about the new Line 6 pedal. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, the Helix.
The Helix. Yeah, you guys can freak out a little bit on that because I know he's using one of those. So that'll be a good discussion.
He's also using a really great amp called the Space Point, or I can't remember what it's called, but a really interesting new generation type of amp. So that'd be great to talk about.
Yeah. That I did recall that thread. So we'll see. He's the next person I'm going to try to get some time with because we've been doing, you know, kind of more open kind of things, but I want to go back to like a feature. And Jeremy's one of these guys that I'd love to just learn a little bit more about, because he's out there and he's doing it. He's recording. He's big into the gear, and so he's into it. And so I want to get to know him a little more. So that's what I'm shooting for, probably in about 2 weeks here. All right.
Have a great night.
Cheers.
Thanks, dudes.